My final guest of the afternoon really needs no introduction. She's the first ever White House National Climate Advisor. She served as the 13th EPA, Environmental Protection Agency Administrator during the Obama presidency. She's a former president and CEO of the Natural Resources Defense Council. No one has anything bad to say about Gina McCarthy. Gina, it's great to see you. It's been a while, and I'm really, really happy to have you on today. Look, I tweeted a little while ago, I was so excited to talk to you about, what does a whole of government, whole of nation, whole of world approach on these climate issues really require? We've tried to take a very wide aperture, both in who's supporting these conversations, who we've interviewed. And, I have to say, I'm usually a pessimist. I'm beginning to feel like a lot of people are willing to talk that weren't before. So, share with us what your entry into this important task is. And share with us what your biggest problems have been so far.
Well, first of all, Steve, thanks for having me. It's great to talk to you again. This is a fun to be back. And I think I have my marching orders for Governor Guerrero, so I'll take care of that as well. But, the whole of government approach is really a recognition that issues of the pandemic and following science and dealing with the economic consequences of the pandemic and regrowing our jobs and making sure that we're investing in communities left behind. All of those things are all related, and they're related to climate change. You talk about sustainability. The whole of government approach is not to pigeonhole the challenge of climate, but instead to recognize that it's integrated and needs to be integrated into everything that we do. And if you look at President Biden's American Jobs Plan, the reason why it's so exciting is it doesn't have an environmental justice section. It doesn't have a climate section. It actually integrates all of these concerns into everything that is written on those pages for 26 pages, right? That fact sheet. And really what the whole thing is about is making sure that every government agency is thinking through the lens of climate as they make decisions, looking at who benefits so we can make sure to invest in environmental justice communities that are left behind, to look at the job opportunities and how we build really good paying union jobs all along the way, because we need it to bounce back from our economy, and it gives us the chance to grab back supply chains and reinvigorate manufacturing that we might have lost. So, Steve, I don't blame you. In case you can tell, I'm like bubbling about this job, because this is like, it's not just EPA that's got to deal with the biggest consequence of our time and challenge climate change. It's like all of us. And we can even use our procurement. The federal government spends lots of money to send signals about what we value, what the world needs to look like, and how we invest in a clean energy economy. So we're not just getting healthier and more equitable today, but we're grabbing the future for ourselves.
Gina, look, I've talked today and yesterday to so many fascinating people. Today, one of them was Vicki Hollub, the CEO of Occidental, Ann Finucane of Bank of America that's out there financing. But I have to tell you, Vicki Hollub laid out a thing of major investments that Occidental, an oil company, is going to make. National, sort of direct air capture of carbon at a scale that's not been done before. And so there are a lot of dimensions to this that surprised me and I did not know about. You very early brought many leaders in the oil and gas industry into the White House. And I have to tell you, just even doing this program, I know that is a politically fragile and dangerous thing that some people would say to do, but you did it and you brought them in. Where's the common ground? How did that go? And is the president as committed to reaching those communities as I know you are?
Well, I'll tell you, the great thing, Steve, is that we have crossed the barrier of denial of climate change. That is so far out of the realm of conversation right now. So I think the oil and gas company are recognizing that there needs to be a transition. And what we're trying to do is make sure that we don't take any solutions off the table, but instead work with folks to see how we make the transition to clean energy and how we can do that to make sure that there's no workers or communities left behind. And so it's an entirely different conversation than we've ever had before. And I welcome that conversation because government I know that President Biden's interested in making some big investments in how we make this transition, as he should, because in order to grow jobs and in order to actually invest in communities left behind, that's what it's going to take to make the shift to clean energy and win the future. But he also recognizes that has to be a signal sender to the private sector. This is a way of basically sending signals about the finance community, like the Ann Fanukins of the world, who frankly don't need a signal sent because she's terrific. But it's an opportunity for us to say, look, we're going to work together. This is a monumental challenge, but we can win this. But the only way we can do it is recognize that it is a transition where everybody has to contribute. In the end game ends up being a better economy as well as a better way of life, and leaving, again, no worker and no community behind. If we can figure this out, and I think we can, then we can actually, make sure that the United States grabs that clean energy future for us. And we are bound and determined that that's exactly what we're going to do.
Gina, I want to ask you a complicated question. I'm not sure how it's going to come out, but I was sort of a friendly critic of the Obama administration early on after the 2008-2009 financial crisis. And I argued that the team at that time did not recognize that it required an FDR moment, an FDR response in rewiring America's social contract with folks that had been left behind by that financial crisis. Does Joe Biden and your team that you're working together with and your whole of government recognize that this takes sort of an FDR-like lift? That when you talk about jobs, I talked to Ernie Moniz about the Energy Jobs Coalition he's been trying to push with, renewable and greens and, connected to jobs, which sounds a lot to me like the Works Progress administration. Is there a sense that the lift can't be small and incremental, but that the shift has to be major? And I may be blowing the metaphor, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. The plan that President Biden put on the table with the relief plan, the American Jobs Plan, and you'll see more to come, these plans are big and they're bold and they're intended to meet the moment. He is not interested in tinkering around the edges. Now, I would give credit to my old boss, President Obama, by saying that he did not have the kind of bipartisan support that I think that this president has worked hard to be able to get. And I think we will see that in the months to come. And he also spent a significant amount of resources on the renewable energy and the development of innovations that we now enjoy. And so the moment in time for climate is a little bit different. It's an opportunity to recognize that the science is now telling us that the job ahead is tougher. The next decade is the key decade. We intend to come out with a commitment from the U.S. as we re-enter the Paris Accord that is going to be strong and show that we have a path forward to get to a significant reduction even by 2030. President Biden said by 2035, we are going to have a clean electricity sector in net zero by 2050. And we are going to be on that trajectory, and I think we can do this. I think we can get some bipartisan support, and I know the president's interested in it. But what he won't accommodate is a plan that's smaller than this moment counts for, that we really need. So you're right. This is an FDR moment. We even borrowed from FDR by proposing a significant multi-billion-dollar effort in something called the Climate Corps, the Civilian Climate Corps, the new CCC. And that's basically to make sure that we are getting folks out in the natural world, helping to advance carbon sequestration and natural solutions, and doing it in a way that's going to grow jobs, get young people trained again, or old people like me who want a second or third career, and get us outside, get us working again together. This is a moment in time when America needs to stand together as one country and really do what needs to be done for our country and for the world.
Gina, what are we going to put in a package that we're going to bring to Glasgow?
Well, a couple of things. One is we're going to put together a nationally determined contribution. That's a fancy way of saying, what are you going to deliver by 2030 in terms of reductions? Our baseline is 2005. So we are working right now to look at a bottom-up strategy, Steve. That means you look at every sector and see what the opportunities are, and then you come up with an overall number, which I'm not going to reveal to you now, even though I really like you, Steve. That's the president's job. But the number is going to be a commitment that really shows that we have a tremendous amount of climate answers and solutions, opportunities that we can take advantage of, like investments in the grid that's going to provide a resilient transmission sector that will connect to areas where renewable energy will begin to prosper. We have an opportunity to shift to electric vehicles because no matter what anybody else thinks, the automakers have told us it's the future, and many of them have chosen to decide to get there by 2035. So we're going to build an infrastructure working with the private sector for those EV charging stations that we'll need. We're going to look at tax opportunities for consumers and rebates to actually move towards this clean energy world. And as a result of all this, Steve, we're not talking about pain, we're talking about gain, and we're talking about then also investing in the innovation that we will need to get to some of the final answers on how we get to net zero. But in the meantime, there is so much that we can invest in that will improve health today, that will improve in particular the housing stock, the roads, the bridges, the things that we haven't invested in years, our water infrastructure, getting the lead out of our pipes. Every one of those things are going to be better for our health today, better for our kids' future, and they're going to be an opportunity to reinvest in the communities left behind. Because that's one big promise that we have to keep.
Gina, because I think your portfolio is just too narrow and small, let me ask you another question. One of the areas I've been really relationships I like, there's a campaign in Washington and the nation called the Campaign for Natural Security. It was supported in part by the NRDC that used to head, World Wildlife Fund, others, in the conservation movement. And what they've been doing is, climate's important, of course, and we don't want to take anything from that discussion, but there's also other elements of environmental sustainability and biodiversity and others that are often neglected in part of the conversation. And I hadn't really thought of that before, but now I get it and I understand it. Is our focus on climate diminishing in attention? Or do we have the wrong, I know the world is united around goals on climate, but do we need to broaden that aperture a little bit? So we're talking about other elements of the health of the earth and our biodiversity and other elements of what you would do at NRDC, frankly.
Yeah. Well, the good news, Steve, is a couple of things. And one is that you're absolutely right. We don't just want to talk about mitigation, and we don't want to talk just about the built environment, but there are natural solutions we have to bring to the table. And there is a whole of nature approach that really needs to be embraced, because the world requires nature to be in a balance in order for us to have a healthy and stable world. And so it goes well beyond the traditional climate concerns that people have and into the world of biodiversity. So one of the efforts that we are embracing, and it's getting a lot of traction internationally, is this 30 by 30 plan. It's basically, how do we protect 30% of our land and our oceans by 2030? And it is about looking at the opportunities we have to actually look at our natural resources and recognize that a lot of them are working landscapes, but we can do a lot better at identifying ways of protecting our biodiversity in the natural world so it can continue to function in a way that all of us need. But it's becoming imperative as we look at the droughts that are hitting, the wildfires. There is an opportunity, I think, to relook at how we make nature work for itself and in that way work for us. And so we're all in on that effort as well. But it is challenging, and it's about time.
Let me just ask you finally, I'm a lover of talking in a wonky way about structures of decision making. We've written a lot about
Yes.
national security decision making and how you get all the views in. And I think sometimes the public thinks, that decisions and views of an administration are just monolithic. But there are a lot of views. You've got to inculcate a lot of people to kind of do this. But with your Office of Domestic Climate Policy, I know it's new, but are you finding the receptivity across the many different agencies and departments you have to do? And are you finding the receptivity within the White House itself? I mean, I guess there's always the question I have. I was talking to Ann Finucane about the era when you would see somebody doing climate, at a big bank, you could ask them, are you fig leaf or are you real and systemic?
Yeah.
And some people would say, I'm a fig leaf right now, but we're trying to change that. So I guess my question to you is I know the Biden administration stepped forward with a lot of progressive, comprehensive issues, but my question to you is bureaucratically and institutionally and decision-making wise, are you being absorbed in a way that's going to be full rather than narrow?
Yeah, well, we have every agency is engaged with us in a national task force that we've pulled together. And we meet frequently and we talk together and we understand, how this is so anti-bureaucratic. Not that I don't love bureaucracies, but the thing that drives me crazy about bureaucracies is they cut things in ways that the world doesn't work. And this is about bringing them together. Just yesterday, I was on a large call and I presented to the climate change group in the Department of Defense. We talked not just about climate change as being an imperative for human health and survival, but we talked about it as both a domestic and an international security challenge. So what Ann will tell you is that we're working with the private sector banks and asset managers to talk about how we look and are more transparent on financial risk associated with climate domestically. And with the military, we're exploring the ways in which we're seeing the insecurity that results from the instability that climate change brings. It results in big migrations and challenges in both the receiving communities and the safety and concern of those that are migrating. And we have to look at what that might mean over time. And it's a good reason why, Secretary Kerry and President Biden is bringing together the world leaders next week on Earth Day and the following day, so we can start getting our arms around this challenge in a way that lacks the bureaucratic and the state by state, in state terms, state by state divisions that have kept us from coming to a good answer that is solid and a plan moving forward. In Glasgow in November at the next conference of the parties, we have to have a plan that is stronger than the Paris Accord. The science is telling us it needs to be stronger, and we know that the commitments are yet not there in order to build the kind of coalition and the time frame we need. So we're done talking about 2050. We're talking about 2030. We're talking about the next decade. We're talking about the world finally coming together and addressing what is perhaps the most existential threat of our time.
I have to sneak in another question because of Secretary Kerry. I interviewed John Kerry almost right after the Paris Accord was done, and he looked at me grimly and said, it's not enough. I mean, everybody was feeling ebullient. Barack Obama had saved it in a parking lot and all this stuff, but he said it's not enough. Is India and others have been, I think recalcitrant would be a nice term, on some dimensions of this. Are you getting the sense early on that he's beginning to make some progress with some of these world leaders, in working with President Biden and yourself and bringing some of those that have not been forward leaning on some aspects of this forward?
Well, Steve, the Paris Accord made a lot of breakthroughs in terms of recognizing that every country needs to move these issues forward. But it also was an opportunity for us to continue to make progress. What happened in the meantime was the prior administration didn't quite embrace this challenge. And as a result, we're starting from a place where we need to be humble and re-enter. And so I fully expect that the summit will be a success in re-engaging, a success in showing the level of our commitment, but also in sparking the kind of energy that we need to get everybody together so that we start this road to Glasgow with eyes wide open about what we need to do and how to get it.
I always love talking to you, and you got a great tweet. I want to tell my audience from December 17, you said, growing up, I could see, taste, and feel pollution. I learned early on that every person deserves clean air, clean water, and a stable climate. Fulfilling that promise has been the work of my life. I do it for my 2, soon-to-be 3 grandchildren and yours. It's really beautiful.
And I now
Gina
have
McCarthy,
3.
first national climate advisor and working with President Biden. Thank you so much. As always, I always learn from you. Really appreciate you joining us today.